Welcome. If you're watching this, it means you're a new Northpointe client. Now, let's get down to business. It's really important that you pay attention to what I have to say here. We think we're the best operators in the market. Many consider Northpointe the gold standard in real estate services. But there are limitations to what we can do. As your agent, you need to know what we can and can't do given certain difficult situations. So, as you watch this short but important video, we'll review the 10 most difficult or confusing situations that property owners face while we're managing their property. Take note of any concerns or questions you have and bring them up with your property manager, preferably in advance of any of these happening. Trust me, if you do that, you'll be able to anticipate these challenges and find the experience smoother. We all hate being let down, and that's why we're going to the trouble to educate you in advance so you have realistic expectations. And with the right expectations, together, as an agent and property owner, we can deal with these issues on the same page and overcome each to make this a good experience for you and maximize your return on investment. Okay, below is a list of items we'll review together. Just glance at each one quickly here. Getting set up, getting your money, what are maintenance reserves, how to access your owner portal, understanding your monthly statements, communicating with your manager, non-payment and evictions, screening your tenant, paying for maintenance and repairs, and trust between agent and owner. Getting set up properly is the single most important step to get started. Heck, it is so important we even made it the #1 item on our list. It helps avoid delays or mistakes that can cost you time and money and frustration for both of us. Look over this list on the screen. We've encountered problems with all of these in the past. For example, not having your HOA bylaws may create problems if the tenant violates those bylaws, because if we don't give them to the tenant, they may not be responsible to follow them. Or not providing us with your bank account info makes it impossible for us to deposit your rental proceeds into your bank. We've even had issues in the past when there's an emergency at the property and the owner has passed away and we've had no one to contact because we were not given an emergency contact. To keep this smooth, please provide us all of these things up front. And if you have more than one unit or property with us, it's important that you discuss with your manager the pros and cons of setting up your account with either 1, each property under one portfolio, or 2, each property with its own portfolio. If we get this wrong, it will frustrate you and or your accountant. Okay, #2, getting your money. This may be the most important. Getting your funds as fast as possible. We know that this creates stress when you don't get the money you were expecting, when you were expecting it. So let's review these. #1, make sure we have your bank account info. If we don't, it will delay getting the funds to you. #2, remember, even if the tenant pays on the 1st of each month, it takes time for the funds to settle in the bank. Sometimes delays happen because of non-bank operating days like weekends or holidays, and with typical payment clearing times, it may take longer than the 10th, but not much. A lot of times, you may see your funds even sooner than the 10th. If your tenant pays late, it's possible you may not see the funds by the 10th of the month. Trust that it's in transit though. If we didn't call you, then you probably don't need to worry about non-payment, just delayed payment. #3, finally, keep in mind it takes about a month, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, to secure a new tenant. You'll need to make plans to cover costs of your property, such as mortgage or utility payments, during that time. Also, once a tenant is secured, keep in mind that from that first month's rent, we need to deduct the maintenance reserve, which we will go over in the next slide, the lease fee, the management fee, and any move-in repair costs. And we are not allowed to use the tenant security deposit for either of those costs. It will be tempting to accidentally expect most of that first month's rent, but you would be smart to expect the more usual owner draw in the following months. Again, we tell you these things so you have an accurate expectation and can plan accordingly. It's best to go eyes wide open into any investment or relationship. 3, maintenance reserves. Now in the previous slide, we talked about a maintenance reserve. This is a small amount, like a few $100s, held to cover minor repairs after we've already sent you any funds from rental proceeds. There is usually about a 3-week period of time when there's no funds in your account to pay for repairs that may need to be resolved quickly. For example, in the middle of winter, if the heat goes out, we can't delay sending someone to check it out, and we'll need something to pay an HVAC technician. Now, don't worry. If it costs more than the minimum maintenance threshold as outlined in your property management agreement, we'll talk with you and get your permission first. But this will at least get someone out there quickly. At the end of our contract, we'll return the maintenance reserve to you. It's still your money, just held in trust. Number 4 is about accessing your online portal. This is a total boring slide. You may need to pause the screen and follow some of the icons and steps shown here to navigate your way through and around your owner portal online. It's pretty self-explanatory, but if you will take some time to understand how to access your account, it will save you time and frustration trying to get the answers. Number 5, understanding your monthly statement. This slide shows you exactly where to find your monthly statement. See item number 1. Under the report section, you can find all kinds of documents, including details about bills during the month. Now, the monthly statement shows all income and expenses during the month, and it shows draws and reserves. If you're not used to it, it may be confusing at first glance. Just talk with your manager and they can walk you through it. Also, you can expect this statement to show up as early as the 5th of each month for activity in the previous month. In contrast to those monthly statements from the previous month, you can access reports that show real-time data up to the minute. These include an income statement, rent roll, and general ledger. It's important that if you really don't like any of these reports, that you speak with your manager. They can add customized reports for you upon request. Number 6 is communication. Northpointe has been in the business a long time, and we've come to see that good communication is one of the most important features of a successful relationship. Take a look at this slide. Notice what to expect as far as typical response times. Keep in mind that your manager has many clients, and we push, I'd say, harder than any other property management company to respond quickly. But please, don't expect it to always be within minutes or even a few hours. Remember, we're human, not robots. Not always, but sometimes it takes a few days for non-emergencies. Keep in mind that if it's an emergency and we can't reach you, we may have to act without your express permission, which is granted in the agreement, to avoid further problems related to an emergency. But we do understand that you may not always be reachable either, and in such cases, if we must act, we will use the best judgment we can. If you feel your manager's communication is lacking, we want to know. You can do this by contacting their broker, or otherwise called their regional manager. If you don't know how to get a hold of this person, call or email the headquarter office in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we will route your email or put you in touch with their superior. You can find this contact information on the Contact Us page of our website. Number 7 is non-payment and evictions. No one wants to even talk about having to evict a tenant, let alone me. It's so uncomfortable that you just want it to poof and be done. You're in good hands if this happens to you, though. We don't mess around when it comes to non-payment of rent, and we're dang fast at getting it resolved. If your tenant pays late, we're on it. With the 5-6-7 rule, see the slide for how that works. If that hasn't resolved the issues by the 10th, right when you should be getting your funds, we'll call you to proceed with an eviction. Now check out the slide for the process involved. It does cost a little bit of money, but we're going to push it through as quickly as possible, usually around a month for typical evictions, and get your property back on the market as fast as possible and get another paying tenant to minimize the loss of rental income. It's just one of those realities of owning and renting a property. It happens sometimes. We screen the heck out of tenants to avoid this, and that's why we have a mere 1% eviction rating. But be prepared, just in case. Number 8 is all about screening your tenant. As mentioned on the previous slide, we dig deep to keep the bad tenants away from your property. On this slide, you'll see what we check and the typical thresholds to approve or decline a tenant. While not guaranteed, this in-depth process does weed out most unacceptable tenants. Of course, we'll keep you involved and make the best decision we can with your approval. Number 9 is paying for maintenance and repairs. Number 1, the number one cause of tenant complaints and disputes is unresolved repairs and maintenance requests. Number 2, as a landlord, you have entered a business that requires you to provide a safe and habitable living environment for paying tenants. The maintenance reserve is intended to pay for issues as they arise. Number 3, your manager will inform you of repairs that exceed the maintenance approval limit outlined in your property agreement with us and seek your approval before scheduling the repair. Number 4, if the maintenance reserve or portfolio balance is not sufficient to pay for approved repairs, you will need to make an owner contribution to provide funds to cover the repairs before repairs can begin. Contributions can be made through the online owner portal. Number 5, emergencies. Per the agreement, if a repair is deemed to be an emergency, the owner is obligated to contribute funds to cover repairs. We'll do all we can to contact you in time. Number 6, obviously, Northpointe is not required to spend its own money to cover repairs on your property. Exceptions to this may at times be made at the manager's sole discretion based on the solvency of the property. Number 7, the inability or unwillingness to pay for repairs to meet basic habitability standards is serious. Please make sure you have planned for unexpected expenses that may arise. Number 8, remember, repairs add value to the property and or prevent the loss of value. Number 10 is trust between agent and owner. Now, I must say we have a strong reputation, and that's probably part of the reason you hired us. We believe we're the best out there and we're on top of our game. But please be patient with us. We're only human, and we do make mistakes. We are not robots. If you expect perfection, you'll be disappointed in any and all property managers on planet Earth. We need a good working relationship with you to do a good job. Now, let me ask you a parting question. Have you ever been in a situation where you're trying to serve or help someone who is yelling, screaming, and blaming you? If not, let me tell you, it's almost impossible to help under that circumstance. The trust is ruined. If you have been in that situation, then hopefully you can appreciate what we mean here. This doesn't mean we don't allow you to be human either. We get it if you had a bad day or are upset. We understand how frustrating things can be when things are not going well. Pipes break, tenant ruins your property, or doesn't pay, creating a world of problems for you. But please try to be patient with us because we are doing all we can to help you. We're on your side. We represent you, the property owner, not the tenant. As long as you're not asking us to do or support anything that is illegal, we're in your corner and doing our best to serve you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and if you have any concerns or questions, please talk with your manager. We are here to help. Thank you.